Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. Unless somebody comes up with the perfect answer to get college football back in action on time, I don't see what they can do to start it up on time. And if they are late, the top players probably won't be around to make it happen anyway. Imagine if college football begins in October. Do you really foresee Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields, the two top Heisman candidates, playing a full season? I don't, and you don't either. Why don't they just all fess up and say it's not possible, then move on to something else? Anthony Lima is here. More Sports and Les Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, it's a Monday night. It's a brand new week. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine into our 24th consecutive year, soon to be 25, and seen exclusively on cleveland.com. We bring in Anthony Lima from 92.3 The Fan. Hello there. That he really does exist without Ken Carmen, I think, unless Ken's hiding behind anything. What am I?
I'd have to check that, Les.
What is that? What is that on over your shoulder?
That would be a world-class painting that I smuggled in from overseas. And it looks like somebody is dripping something onto the top of my head. Maybe that's to cure male pattern baldness. I don't know.
It looks a little bit like a horse getting ready to join the starting line, the lineup. You know, the streets of the sidewalk of New York singing in the background. Little bit.
Quite the Rorschach test, Les. Yeah, my psychologist told me I had to try to figure out what I saw in that painting, and I saw dysfunction, and that's why
total dysfunction. All right, so you are the closest thing to a following me in my footsteps, if that's worth following. I mean, you went to Ohio State, and then I did a few years. No, actually, I went before you did. Your first school was Syracuse, right?
Well, that's where I got my master's degree at Syracuse after Ohio State. Yeah,
right, so
quite the journey.
So what was the goal at that time?
I don't know. Not this. This wasn't
know.
The goal at all.
It's the same as mine. Political scientist, and then I was going to be senator from the great state of Ohio.
If I had any foresight whatsoever, I would have gone into epidemiology like people told me back in the day, but I said, there's no way we're going to ever have an issue with that. So apparently I was wrong.
Did you decide to get into sportscasting because of the huge amount of money that would be coming your way?
Yeah, there was that job in West Virginia where I think I made $17,000 a year and worked every weekend and holiday.
Well, that's pretty good.
And was eligible for food stamps.
What year would that have been?
That was 2007.
And you made $17,000.
Yes. Does that sound good?
Well, not to me now. It doesn't. But
Les doesn't get out of bed for anything less than 20 grand.
But there was a time, for all of us.
Yeah.
Somebody must have started it and made some money and threw us totally off the guard on that one.
The Bob
if everybody,
of the world, Mike Tirico's.
Right, if everybody thought that 17 grand was as far as it was going to go, we'd be cutting hair somewhere.
I will tell you,
anything wrong with
not
that.
during, and not in a shutdown. They let us do sports talk in a shutdown, which they somehow labeled us essential. And you know how people love the media right now, so that worked out for everybody.
All right. Speaking of the media, they're not allowed to call the Washington football team what they've been calling them since George Preston Marshall owned the team. And what do you think about that? All of a sudden, Snyder has scruples here. He was never going to change the name. Now he's come to a meeting of the minds, apparently, and the minds of Nike and US Air. What is it? FedEx, right?
FedEx, yeah. It's amazing all of a sudden where morality can smack you in the face when you have partners, and some of your very, very biggest partners say they're about to pull out money. I think FedEx said it, Pepsi had said it as well, and others. And that was something that was a bridge too far, obviously, eventually for Dan Snyder. People say cancel culture, and yes, there is a cancel culture going on right now. And there are a lot of people that want everything to come down and any vestiges of anything that they find remotely offensive. And that's very dangerous. That is dangerous. And in some ways, in some circles, I don't know that we can totally call what's happened to the Redskins cancel culture, because it's not like this is a new complaint. I've heard about this for 30 years. Okay. We've heard about getting rid of Chief Wahoo for 30 years. I'll never forget when the Braves and the Cleveland Indians got together in '95 for the World Series. Bob Costas did an entire commentary on it on the network. So these things aren't new, but the reaction and maybe the willingness for them to break with tradition, maybe that's what you could consider cancel culture. But for many people and for many marginalized people, they would call it status quo culture for the last 50 years.
All right, so you have Paul Dolan coming out and kind of throwing out a salvo first before they demanded anything of him. But the Atlanta Braves, they're saying, well, we're dealing with it and we're checking it all out. And by the way, we think we're going to get rid of the tomahawk chop. But they didn't say anything about changing the name. Do you think the Indians went too far at this point if they're negotiating something?
Yeah, look, I have 1,000 thoughts on this. I thought where the Indians really bungled this wasn't this year. They bungled it over the last 15 years when they knew there were some groups, and yes, a very small but vocal minority were offended by both the name and Chief Wahoo. But the team could have, and I think this is where their biggest blunder was that the team needed to address this years ago, actually bring in Native American groups, those that felt marginalized, give them a seat at the table. But for years, under Dick Jacobs and then the Dolans, they said, we don't need to. We don't need to get their input. And that's why they were then caught with their pants down now. Had they have been able to smooth this over time, in the same way that the Blackhawks have been able to do it in Chicago, the Seminoles of Florida State, who actually, they have the blessing of the local reservation there. We never did that. I know there's no big reservations that still, persist here in Northeast Ohio, but they never made the effort. And because they didn't make the effort, they're paying for it today. I do think they could have salvaged the name Indian. I do. Chief Wahoo, no. I don't think they could have salvaged Chief Wahoo.
Okay. Well, first of all, when they got rid of Chief Wahoo, we all assumed that the deal had been made to include that it would be okay to keep Indians as the name. But here's the problem.
I thought so too. Yeah.
Here's the problem from what you're thinking, or what you're telling me you're thinking, and that is that if you have 10 groups that you want to bring to the table, you're going to have 10 different ideas. You're going to say, okay, we think Chief Wahoo is okay. Okay, we think the Warrior is okay. We think whatever is okay. I don't know who you're going to please on that.
That's true. Yeah, you're never going to please anybody. And just look at right now, every day we just open up the phone lines. We do very lazy radio when we get bored. And we just ask people, give us names. And we hate all the names. You're not going to like any of the names. You're never going to get a bunch of people to agree on one thing. Look at what the Redskins, with the football team up there, down there, what they're going to be going through. These are not easy moves to make. You're right, Les, that it would have been tough. It still would have been a difficult process. But at least they would have had the process. The fact is, they never thought they'd have to give way. They never maybe saw society being in the place that it is in the year 2020. And so now all of a sudden that pressure is there, that the optics are there. Yeah, they could have dug in. I think the Dolans were sick of fighting. And I don't know how much longer they want the team. And I don't know if they were worried about potential buyers of a team that has a race of people as their name. I think they might have been concerned about that. I think that's a story that isn't getting enough discussion.
Well, I might be the only backer of Paul Dolan over the years. Not carte blanche, not always, but I've under the circumstances, I think he's done a tremendous job. On the other hand, if let's say this is his last year or next year's his last year, and there's no world championship, and there is a change that isn't popular in the name, it seems to me that the legacy of Paul and Larry Dolan therefore would be losing to the Cubs in the World Series and losing Chief Wahoo and losing the Indians. If that's your highlight reel, that's not a good one. Despite how I feel about Paul personally.
And I feel the same way. I think they've been great for the community. They've been terrific ambassadors. Obviously, we don't even have to talk about the charity work that they do, and a lot of it behind the scenes, stuff that they don't necessarily even want to really publicize. They have been great. I've talked to many people who've worked for them. There might not be a better place, a better company to work for. And I do think they get a rotten deal all the time, considering the economics of baseball. I think at times they've cried a little poor, and I haven't liked how they framed the discussion of payroll. But at the same time, when you talk about owners that consistently have not only a great team, but also a terrific environment, a great setup that is admired around Major League Baseball for their front office, that other people have tried to pluck so many of their guys and have plucked so many of their guys because of the respect of the group that they have run here in Cleveland. I will always give them credit for that. And I think so many people have gotten too caught up with the pending loss of Francisco Lindor and others, when the goal of baseball isn't just to keep your superstar. The goal of baseball is to actually win your division, and get to the playoffs. And who's done that better in this town than the Indians?
Nobody. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Anthony Lima here with Ken Carmen on 92.3 The Fan. You can hear him from 6 until 10 each and every morning. You hear him nationally. Anthony, I heard you nationally the other day. You sounded terrific.
Well, it must have been a mistake. They must
have. I could have the wrong station.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. So Ken is on Saturdays from 10 to 2, and I'm going to be on Sundays from 10 to 2 right now. So I'm back on, which is exciting. Let
me ask you one question. When the calls come in, is it the same call from Joe from Brook Park or Fred from Bedford? Is it the same? Is it the same call, even though it's coming in from Portland, Oregon?
Well, I'm always fascinated by this, and I do think there are distinct differences. You hate to stereotype all fans of every city. I do think there are different expectations depending on cities and who you're a fan of and what you're looking for. But intrinsically, the broad thought of sports, they're talking about the same stuff no matter where you are. I was watching today, they were asking if Justin Thomas over Muirfield over the weekend, did he gag or did the other guy win it? I mean, it's the same conversations we're having. And every station in America is talking about this top 10 list for every position group that ESPN did after surveying 50 executives. I mean, that to me is the fun of sports. Like, we're really not all that different. I mean, we really aren't when we sit in front of the television to watch our teams.
216-575-0403. Anthony Lima is here. Did you know the Ohio Lottery has paid out over $1 billion in winnings over the past 6 months? People are winning in record numbers, and winning is happening all around the state. Play an Ohio Lottery game today and play it often. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can also follow us on Facebook. Get on it. It's real simple. We pose a question in the morning. You pose an answer in the afternoon. We put it on at night. That's about as easy as it could get. More sports and Les Levine continues with Anthony Lima, exclusively on cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Lesmerises, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin Wallace, so I started at Baldwin Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Birthdays for today, the 13th of July. Neil Down, 1947. Spud Webb. Hey, Anthony, if the Indians become the Spiders, does Spud Webb become the mascot by any chance?
I think you might be able to get away with that, yes.
Yadier Molina, celebrating a birthday today. Sin Soo Choo. DJ LeMahieu, is he a DJ from L.A. or Vegas?
No. I know he has COVID right now, so he's going to be sitting out for a little bit.
Cody Bellinger also celebrating a birthday on the 13th of July. 216-575-0403. Anthony, do you have a pencil or something there that you can write on?
Well, the thing is, my memory is so ironclad. I don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
I don't write down. I don't keep notes.
A little bit later, when we have Mike Macetta here from Nature Stone, I want you to just say, "Hey, Mike, it's not a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone." Can you do that?
Okay, already forgot it.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Did you ever want to be, an ESPN insider, NFL insider? How do you become one of those?
You have to kiss butt to a lot of agents for a long time, and right place, right time. I think it would be pretty cool to be able to get those texts from a lot of the top executives or agents or players. Although you got to realize they never, when we talk about Adrian Wojnarowski or Adam Schefter, they never get time off. I mean, that phone is everything, and sometimes I think we got to put the phones down a little bit and enjoy life and look around once in a while. You can't really do that with that job. You are always staring at the phone every text you get.
Where does an insider go when he's done there?
They're back on the outside. They got no clout. They got nothing. No juice left. See, you've always had juice.
Okay.
That's the beauty of this.
All right, Jeremy Fowler of ESPN used to cover the Browns here, right? Out in Berea?
Yeah.
All right, so he says that that Beckham is quitting on plays. He says it's the intangibles with Beckham, whose mental roller coaster on the game day keep him from greatness, one prominent coach said. They've been watching him carefully over the years, and the veteran coach said, added a veteran player, the whole game seems to like a lot for him. At some point, you have to say, none of your teams are going to be successful. At some time, you have to wonder about that. Do you agree with their point that Beckham might be taking plays off and maybe quarters off?
Well, I've heard whispers of that over the years. We thought it wouldn't be a big deal here. It was just something that him and Eli Manning and, those coaches that he had there in New York were the issue. And now you're hearing about some of that too in a season that spiraled out of control. You're 2-6 to start the season. And that was after all the lofty expectations that they had. I do think it's a little bit unfair, though, to make it seem like Odell is the reason they're losing games. Look, if you're relying on your wide receiver to be like your leader, look, you can't build them all like Julio Jones, like guys like that. This thing with Odell, I was shocked that they still had him on that list as the number 4 overall wide receiver. I was thinking, what year was this list taken? Because if you would have told me that 3.5 years ago, absolutely, you might have called him the best wide receiver in the game. The reality is injuries the last 3 years and just a lot of drops, a lot of balls that he should catch. He's the guy that's supposed to catch everything. He just hasn't really lived up to that superstar billing over the last 3 or so years. Again, some of it, to be fair, injuries. But now I have to ask, is he injury prone? And should we even have the expectation for him to be a top-fledged wide receiver in this league this year? Jarvis Landry was better than him last year.
Yeah, and I also thought that when Jarvis Landry and he got together, that would have made up for whatever problems either one had. Although Landry didn't have the problems coming in.
Well, they said there were some locker room issues. I think that was just people talking bad about him out the door to justify what went on with him and Adam Gase when he was with the Miami Dolphins. I think Jarvis has been great. And I just saw, skill position-wise, Bill Barnwell of ESPN said they have the second best skill position groups in the entire NFL behind the Kansas City Chiefs, right ahead of the Dallas Cowboys. I do think, Odell and Jarvis, they're not to me elite wide receivers at this point, at least from what I've seen, but they're both very good. They both still can be good. And in the right offense, as long as they're not worried about touches, I think in this offense that is supposed to be designed around the run and play action, they might be upset at times if they're not getting those targets. But I think a lot of that could be erased if they just win ball games, which hopefully that is what Stefanski's going to be able to do with this loaded team.
When I hear you say that they've got other stuff, they've got the running game, they've got tight ends that they didn't have before. The more I hear that, the more I think that this is kind of a toy for all these guys, these coaches, and they're just getting their hands together saying, when do we start? I think, unless I'm totally missing it. On the other hand, we assume Stefanski's going to do all the right things. There's no reason to assume that yet at this point. I mean, at this point, we assume Freddie Kitchens was going to do it right.
Look, the Browns are absolutely loaded when it comes to what they have committed to their offensive line, all the running backs, the tight ends, the wide receivers. They've got every facet of what you would want, but they have two big question marks. And these two question marks hold back so many teams, and it's quarterback and head coach. Right now, Baker Mayfield and Kevin Stefanski are massive question marks.
Well, isn't that legit?
Yeah, it's totally legit. And now I'm nervous, Les, that if J.C. Treader and the Players Union have their way, that there are going to be no preseason games. And this team has had quite a bit of turnover, again, with head coaches, with assistants, and with overall their talent. That's going to be tough for them to be able to get up to speed quickly and start playing football. Compare that to, say, the Baltimore Ravens, who have the same system next year and a lot of the same players.
Yeah, but I look at it that if they get him into an exhibition game, they're not going to give him much playing time anyway, which defeats the purpose.
A lot of people, look, it's been trending that direction. Everybody remembers what the Rams did a few years ago, and then a lot of teams followed suit. I wonder, though, if it would have been different this year, just given the fact that there were no OTAs, you didn't have mini camps, and you have kind of a truncated training camp situation at this point.
All right, when we get back, we're going to take a look at the AFC North and their quarterback rankings. According to NFL Insider, that would be Rob Ninkovich, and we'll see how he ranks the four quarterbacks. And he does that, of course, for ESPN's Get Up. We're going to come back in a moment with Anthony Lima. More sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com. Three great places to shop. That, of course, would be at Northeast Factory Direct, West 140th Street, Lakeland Boulevard in Euclid, and Freeway Drive. That's in Macedonia. Or go to the website before you do anything. That's northeastfactorydirect.com. Back in a moment. More sports and Les Levine, seen exclusively on cleveland.com.
Celebrate Naturestone's 30-year anniversary with a free Naturestone floor. During 2020, we will be giving away 30 free floors to 30 very lucky customers to say thank you for making Naturestone the best concrete flooring solution for garages, basements, and more. Call or visit naturestone.com today to register to win, and we'll send you a copy of our new buyer's guide absolutely free. There's no purchase necessary. Winners will be chosen monthly. With over 30 million square feet installed for more than 60,000 customers, it's easy to see why I always say it's not just a floor. Wow, it's Naturestone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Let's take a look at a How Come Quickie. This is before Anthony's time. How come early win If early win won the first game of a doubleheader, it would be an early win. I mean, that's the definition of a how come quickie right there.
That's a good one. Are you surprised at the setup at all for baseball? I know we've done very little actually breaking down what kind of chances the Indians are going to have, but when Les, you would be somebody who I would call the gatekeeper, which I know some would look at that as a bit of a shot, a bit of a pejorative, but I say it half joking with you, Les, but I think you're probably a little more traditionalist than a lot of the younger fans. Did you have a problem with like extra innings? They're starting a runner on second base. Do you think that's sacrilegious in the game of baseball?
Yeah. There's no reason for it. If they can explain to me, A, why they're doing it, and I think the answer is they want to speed up the game. But once you get to the extra innings, that's the most exciting part of the game. Why would you want to get rid of that? So yeah,
I figured that the union.
What's the reason?
Yeah, I figured that they didn't want to tax pitching, that they needed the games to end as soon as possible, because in a 60-game setup with everything else going on, and who knows if pitchers are going to be having issues too, getting COVID just like any other players. I mean, we've seen teams get sent home out of the bubble for the MLS already.
Why don't they
that basketball tournament that ESPN's been airing.
Why don't they just flip a coin and say the guy's out or he's in? They score or they don't score. I mean,
I know it does.
You said a traditionalist. Here's what I picture happening, and I don't know if it's going to or not. And it all depends on whether some of these guys are real athletes and can actually bunt the ball. Let's say the top of the innings, the bottom of the 10th, the game at Progressive Field, bottom of the 10th, and the other team doesn't score, and Cleveland comes up and they put a guy on second base. To me, if it's anybody but, I don't know, well, I'll lay it out here and you tell me who it's anybody but. I say you bunt the ball, move the guy over to third, and then hit a fly ball. Game's over. What excitement is that? Is that like a walk-off? Is that a walk-off run? A walk-off win?
It's just so much of the analytics have just said, do away with the bunt. Get it out of the game. Doesn't help with advanced as these hitters are now, being able to put that ball in play. I don't know. They just don't seem to want to ever embrace the bunt. But you could be right. Maybe these managers go back to their conservative days like we used to see in the National League all the time when bunting was all over the place. We saw it in both leagues, really.
I am glad that they're getting rid of the pitcher batting. I am glad about that. And even though as a traditionalist 50 years ago, I wanted the DH in both leagues. Actually, give me the DH or give me death. No, give me one or the other, but don't give me both.
Right, and there's been talk about whether or not this is going to go forward, after this season, and whether we've seen the last of pitchers hitting. And I kind of suspect that we will. But I want to check in with you and want to make sure that you're still okay with baseball. You're not going to turn it off because of how different this is going to be and the 60-game schedule. Yeah. I mean, how about the pressure that's going to be on these hitters? Yeah. That, somebody, I was hearing Adam the Bull today talking about Franmil Reyes, that he could hit 25 home runs in a quick season, but we also know the other side. He'd go on a major slump and be fully useless to a team. That is the mental component that I'm excited to see how these players deal with.
Do you think we'll have a 400 hitter this year?
No, I don't. I just don't. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that I don't know how many live pitching or hitting sessions these players have even been able to have. You've heard so many basketball players say they didn't even dribble a basketball, and I'm thinking, well, were you worried the basketball was going to test positive for COVID? You could still work on things. And most of these guys have gyms at their own home. That surprised me. I wonder baseball, what their situation is going to be. How ready will they be to actually play at a high level right off the bat?
Let's go back to football for a minute, because again, you have these ESPN insiders. Jeremy Fowler is one of them. We're looking at the defensive line. He's got Khalil Mack, number 1 for the Bears, Chandler Jones of the Cardinals, number 2, Nick Bosa, 3, Von Miller, 4, and Myles Garrett, 5. Anybody missing? The other Bosa's missing.
Yeah, the other one's right there behind. Von Miller at his age to be there, into his 30s is pretty impressive. Has some huge seasons. Chandler Jones, I know he's mired in obscurity because he's with the Cardinals and he's not with the Patriots anymore. He's been outstanding. As far as Myles Garrett there, hey, I don't think there's a big gap between any of those guys. That's about where I would have Myles. I mean, I think Myles is fabulous. He's been one of the best draft picks the Browns have had in 25, 30 years. So the only complaint you can have about Myles is I think he lost his cool last year and sabotaged any chance they had at making the playoffs and getting a wild card spot.
Do you think
Other than that, when he's out there, he's performing.
Do you think people will forget that, voters and players and all that stuff? Will they forget it quickly? They understood.
Yeah,
They didn't like it, but they understood it.
I don't think they think he's a bad guy. I mean, I know that they tend to put up the highlights of him, ruining that Jets quarterback season, and now all of a sudden he's like some dirty player. We've watched Myles Garrett. He's not dirty. I think he's right about where he needs to be. I think he needs to maybe improve a little bit on consistency. Seems like on some running plays, he's just out of the play. While some of those guys, I see them being relentless. Like Khalil Mack is just everywhere. Nick Bosa could have won the MVP of the Super Bowl, and he didn't even have big sack numbers in that game.
Right.
But you knew his impact on that game. It had really slowed Patrick Mahomes down for the first 3 quarters of that game. That's how good I think Nick Bosa is. Obviously, Joey Bosa is pretty good too.
All right, Jeremy Fowler continues to talk about Myles Garrett. He says, an assistant says that Garrett has first ballot, I'm talking Hall of Fame here, first ballot ability and completely dominates whole games at times, as evidenced by his 26% pass rush win ratio. But that dominance comes and goes. In 10 games last year, Garrett, well, I think this is explainable, Garrett had 0 sacks with 4 of them and 2 or more 3 times. If he's going to go early, he's unstoppable, the coach says. So Jeremy Fowler's looking at Hall of Fame potential here.
Well, you want to see more of the dominant games like he had against Big Ben a couple of years ago when, he was all over the place and really, really just made big play after big play. I need more of those games because he's got the talent. Nobody's sitting there thinking he doesn't have the talent. I don't know if he's as relentless as some of those guys on that list. Like I see Khalil Mack, if you watch him the whole game, he is consistently back there. And it's not all about sack totals. I know we get crazy with sack totals. Myles Garrett's going to sack a ton of quarterbacks. He's going to have a ton of sacks. I'm not worried about that whatsoever with him.
Right.
He's a really good player. Browns should be happy they have him. Hopefully he can stay on the field the whole year this year.
Pete Smith of Sports Illustrated talked about Vernon over Clowney. Vernon, according to Smith, Vernon provides a benefit for Garrett, and Clowney doesn't. Vernon's technique and positioning are excellent, and those are the areas Garrett can continue to improve on. Garrett has gotten better since he's been in the league, but in many ways, Vernon is the gold standard and could be a push could be pushing Clowney. Meanwhile, Clowney is never is not detail oriented, and his manner can be inconsistent. He's a one-man wrecking crew at times, but signing him would have been hoped that the Browns wrecking crew and Clowney had opposed to the other way around. Vernon is someone who's always proven himself to be a good guy in the locker room. So there you have it. So Pete Smith of Sports Illustrated likes the way the Browns have done what they have done. Anthony Lima.
Well, I'd like to see more on that defensive line, though, and they still have the most money to spend in free agency. I don't know if they're going to spend it on anybody else, but they are one injury away on that defensive line of having some big issues. You saw that last year at the end of the year without Myles Garrett.
No question about it. Explore your interests and find a program at Tri-C that puts you on a path to a great, bright future. Tri-C offers more than 1,000 courses in 140 career and technical programs. Go to tri-c.edu for more information. Anthony Lima and I return in a moment. More sports and less Levine, exclusively on cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had 2 choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Browns Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get text sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week, and it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
This date in sports history, July in 1993. What is that? 1963. Early wins his 300th game and final game as an Indian, as the Indians defeated Kansas City by a score of 7-4. I went to about, well, here, this is this date in Les Levine history. Les saw 3 of the games that Early Wynn pitched during when he had 299. Les was convinced that he either could have hit a home run off Wynn or he could have beaten him in a race. I mean, Early Wynn at that time weighed 742 pounds, and
Come on.
maybe 557, somewhere in that range. He didn't look like he was a well-trained athlete. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, but did he do what Joe Thomas did after his career and get in the weight room and slim down?
Early Wynn wouldn't have known where the weight room was or what it was. Anthony Lima.
I have to ask.
What's that?
Yeah, I want to ask you, Les. We were talking about it on the radio. If you're a baseball fan, if you're a really big Indians fan, we know you're not going to be able to go to the games, it looks like, for the entire season. And last time I checked, they had dividers up that you couldn't even really see into the outfield from right outside the fence.
Right.
And I think the goal there is they don't want any mass gatherings. They don't want the city's not going to want anybody congregating out there to try to sneak a peek at the game. I know at Camden Yards, there's a hotel where you can see the game. I think in Toronto, there's a hotel as part of the venue where if they end up playing baseball in Toronto and not in Buffalo, as one proposal that's been out there, maybe you could do it. Do you know, will anybody be getting up in that AT&T building or maybe the 9 at the Metropolitan? Do you think anybody's going to go up in those rooms with binoculars?
No, but that's a good idea. Let's bring in Mike Macetta to see what he has to say. Mike, I've had Anthony Lima working on this phrase. Let me see if he knows it. Anthony, first of all, say hello to Mike Macetta, then tell what you're supposed to say.
Always a pleasure, Mike. I hear Dustin talking about Mike on Bull and Fox throughout the week, too. So Nature Stone's where it's at. And it's an unpaid testimonial.
Well, the testimonial is it's Nature Stone. All right.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I want to hear it, Anthony. I want to hear it.
Yeah. And I want it now. What's Mike thinking? Mike, what are you thinking? We're talking football, but I want to talk baseball or whatever it is that we're going to be watching in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Anthony asked me a question, and I didn't get to the answer, how I feel about baseball. And what I said is, I hate it. I can't stand what the players and the owners did to them, but I can't wait to game number 58 when the Indians are half a game ahead of whoever they're ahead of, and can't wait to see that game however I'll see it. Baseball is still the greatest game ever invented.
It really is. As you know, Les, that's my sport. You know, grandfather was a phenomenal player, and you know, played myself. Now the kids playing whatever, and that's the sport. There's a lot going on in that sport that people don't see, people don't know about. You know, in terms of the gamesmanship between the coaches and the players and the opposition. It's more visible on a football field and a basketball court than it would be on a baseball field. But yeah, I can't wait for it to get started. I've been, they started the kids season, and I've got my 12-year-old and my 10-year-old. So we've been kind of baseball and softballed out. We've been playing games pretty much every day, and there's nothing to come home to. So we just keep watching them play, and it's a lot of fun. But so I hope that when their season ends and the major league season begins, that'll be a good transition point for us to really start getting into Major League Baseball again.
Yeah, and they'll see stuff in the games that they might not have thought of, and they'll teach themselves what this all means. I think it's a great learning experience, and hopefully your kids use it as more than just exercise. Learn how to play the game, which is just a fascinating way. When you see it click in, Mike, it clicks in, and it's a great feeling. All the work you as a father or any of the other coaches, it's something that they work hard at. You may not see it immediately, but you will see it eventually. And when you recognize it, it's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. And my favorite thing is when my daughter watches a guy hit a ground ball and dog it to first base, and she says, "I wouldn't want that guy on my team, Daddy. He's not hustling." I say that's what it's all about. I love when I hear that.
Let me give you one of my coaching experiences. I'm coaching my son. He's probably 13 at the time. And it's leadoff, steals, the whole bit. And now it's bases, first and second. My son's on second base, and it's a 3-2 count, and 1 out. And I'm coaching first base, and I go, "Oh my God, we haven't taught these kids that with a 3-2 count, you're supposed to run on the pitch." So I called a timeout, tried to teach him. He didn't quite grasp the entire concept of it in that timeout.
Well, yeah, it takes a little bit more than a 5-second conversation to get that point across.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the beauty of teaching these kids.
Wait till you try.
There's so much to learn in this game, and you could just keep playing it and playing it. And
wait till the umpire calls infield fly. The ump calls infield fly rule, and the kid has no idea what you're talking about. None.
I don't think the announcers even know what that is.
Screaming out infield fly, and they don't know what they're talking about. That's fun.
I said to the kid, "Now, if it's a 3-0 count, you take the pitch." He goes, "What? What? You take it? Where do you take it? What do you do?" Anthony, go get married, have some kids, so you can know what we're talking about.
Yes.
I know. I'm missing out all the fun. I got to ask Mike if we want to know what he's thinking. What is he thinking of some of these names that are being bandied about, like the Spiders or the Cleveland Baseball Club? I've seen the Crusaders, Les. I've seen people say Crusaders.
Yeah, I'm going for the Cleveland Nature Stones.
Yeah, I'd go with the Nature's Pearl. No, I like the Naps actually. I thought that that was the original name, if I'm not mistaken, or Nap Lajoie was who the team was named after. I think that would be a big a tribute to both the Native American culture and changing the name to something that is named after a person rather than
I think you're referring to Chief Louis Sockalexis, who was an American Indian. I believe that's where it came from. I don't believe that Lajoie was a Native American, but it doesn't matter if it brings up Cleveland baseball history. That's okay with me.
Okay, very good.
Anthony, what do you think the Indians? How many wins did they get out of 60?
Oh, I said this. I think you can disqualify 15 teams off the bat that maybe aren't talented enough. Then you're going to have maybe of the 15 teams that are talented, you're going to have injuries. That's going to cancel a few teams. And then maybe some teams just their hearts aren't in it because of all the stuff they're going to have to do to make sure to be healthy every day. And I think if you have the right manager and you have the right mix of talent and guys are really dead set on taking this seriously, I see no reason why the Indians couldn't win the division last, right? What do you think? How many wins will that take to win the division, knowing that Minnesota is still going to be pretty good? It looks like the White Sox are getting better.
I'm just throwing out a number, 36.
Okay. Why not? Why not? I mean, seriously.
If anybody,
Nick Gilbert, why not?
If anybody claims that they know what's going to happen or what they did last year or the year before means anything, it doesn't. This is a whole new world out there. And
imagine if Jose Ramirez gets going right off the bat.
Yeah, right. And if you get two guys who get the virus, there's your team, right? If it's the wrong two guys, the game's over. Mike, give me winning a number here out of 60.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. I think that of the two sides of the ball, the defense and the pitching really, versus the offense, I think that this lag time would significantly hurt the offense and the batting a lot more than it would the pitching. And in a short season of only 60 games, if you've got a tremendous pitching staff like the Indians have, both starters and relievers, I mean, they're pretty deep all the way around. I would think that lends itself to a team like the Indians to be very successful. So I'm going to say I'm going to put them at about 41, 42 wins, and I think they'll win the division.
That's a lot of wins. That's a lot of wins. All right, Mike, we got to go. Anthony's got a bedtime. He's got to check in with his babysitter.
Very good.
Mike, as always, thank you. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
Hey, wow, it's Nature Stone. Thanks, guys.
You do that very well. Very well. Thanks, Mike. Mike Macetta of Nature Stone. That's what Mike is thinking. Northeast Factory Direct, we know what they're thinking. 3 locations plus the website. Check it out. West 140th Street, Lakeland Boulevard, and of course Freeway Drive. That's the new one in Macedonia. And you'll check out the website before you go anywhere, northeastfactorydirect.com. Sokolowski's University, and Anthony can tell you more than any action going on over there. They're waiting to make some kind of announcement. We'll let you know.
I need their pierogies, Bless. I need their pierogies back in my life.
The Anthony Lima pierogi will be the special. We'll come back in a moment. More sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Your home is your most important investment, and your basement is the go-to part of your home. It's your children's rec room. It's where your family and friends spend time together. It's much more than just a basement. Now is the perfect time to add beauty and value to your home with an authentic Nature Stone basement floor. And every Nature Stone floor comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. For a limited time, get our exclusive mini pearl stone for as low as $2.99 a square foot, plus installation. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Do you have a preference with Lindor in first or third? Or I know you've been hitting him third here for the first game.
I think we're going to probably hit him third. That would be my sneaking suspicion. We may end up lining up those switch hitters 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know. Cesar Hernandez, I think last year was, a little bit of a what's the other word from abnormality?
Aberration.
Thank you, Hointy. Now I know why you're there. That's make sure you use that. Make sure give me credit for saying that. He can get on base and he can run. He's not going to lead the league in stolen bases, but he can hit from both sides. He can walk and he can run the bases. So there's a candidate there, and then the other guys kind of fall into place.
With Frankie, his all-around offensive game. Some
of it was just literally sitting down and talking to him about comfort level, where he's been in the past, where he thinks he is now. he was quick to say, hey, I'll hit anywhere you want, which I appreciate. You know, you do appreciate when players say things like that. But I want to also do what I think makes sense for our team.
There you go, Terry Francona talking about Cesar Hernandez. And by the way, I think that with Hernandez and Lindor and Ramirez and Santana, I think they have the best combination hitting and defensive infield in baseball, maybe, at least in the American League. This is a career leadoff position for Hernandez. What's that?
I love getting Francisco Lindor out of the leadoff spot. I never understood it. It made no sense to me last year. I thought, given their issues with some of the order, I just did not like him leading off and never being able to drive guys home. And I know the argument is, and I've heard it forever, well, if you bat him third and the guys don't get on base in front of him, then that's no good either. I just felt like so many opportunities were squandered with him in leadoff last year, where if somebody was fortunate enough to get on, he could have brought him home, and he didn't have a chance to do that. Limited opportunity to do that in a leadoff spot.
And not only that, if the pitcher works really hard to get him out, he takes a deep breath, and all of a sudden he looks up and he's got the rest of the lineup to deal with. I think this is a pretty loaded lineup here. I don't know what they're going to decide in left field and right field, but they got some bombers, no question about that. All right, career leadoff as a third batter is Francisco Lindor, 634 at bats, 308 batting average, 17 homers and 84 RBIs. Facebook question of the day: Would you trade?
Do you think any of the future stuff on Lindor is going to bother him this year?
I think he's one of the guys that it won't bother.
Yeah.
I think it's cost him a lot of money already because of what money would have been signed for this year, and he won't be able to cash in on that. But I mean, it's huge money, but I think he's one of the few that would make it work. Let's take a look at whether people think he should be traded this season. This is on Facebook. Mark Jelisic says, then it'll be in the season, assuming it gets finished and they let him play for sure this season. Lawrence Butler says, yes, the value of return for him will never be higher than it is right now. Glenn Becker, no, you never know what's going to happen in this shortened season, 60 games. The Indians need all the offense they can get, and Lindor is their is in that batting order. Look to trade him in the offseason. Trent Harrop, I would like to see Frankie for even the rest of the season, whether other teams are willing to give up a lot or nothing. Eric Eglin says, most likely I'd like to have a huge return. The Dolans will never give him a fair extension that he wants and rightfully has earned and deserves. Pat Moore says, trade him. Might be best for him. Might be more for him if he's signed for 60 more seasons or next year. Cleveland can't afford him. I don't know. Anthony, as a fan, do you take a win? If I could tell you that Francisco Lindor stays with them all year and is a reason why they win the whole thing, and then he moves on, are you okay with that? Or do you need him to do it and prove it again and again?
No, I think you have to. You have to accept it. It's almost if you would have posed that question about LeBron James, and I know people have maybe lied after the fact, but if you would have said, hey, he'll come back and he'll win you a title, but he's going to leave either the next year or the year after, I think most people would say, okay, we'll take that. But now they're acting like they never want to give credit to the guy ever again. At least some of the people that call our show. It's not everybody, but we do get a lot of those. So I think that's insanity if people wouldn't take a World Series. My question to you is, how much would a World Series mean for you, first since 1948, if they do it under these circumstances, but this very different season?
Well, first of all, the world has changed. You know, I might have given you a giddy answer about this a year or two ago. Now there's a few other things on my mind and everybody else's mind as well. It should be. But for the factor of just shaving it off a little bit so you can get some excitement out of whatever a crazy world is doing, whether it's the pandemic or whether it's an election or whatever it is. Do I need it? Do I need a championship? Yeah, I guess I do. But there's a few other things I put on my list before that.
Okay. I'm curious because, you know, Bob Costas was the first to say it. He didn't mean this begrudgingly or to criticize Cleveland and the tradition here. But he said he kind of hopes this isn't the year that the Indians win it because he doesn't want it to be marred, I guess his word, by them winning it this way, where fans around Major League Baseball are not going to accept whoever wins the title.
Yeah,
They're not. Whoever wins the title, they're going to say, "Oh, okay." You're going to acknowledge that.
I'm going to acknowledge it. Bases loaded, bottom of the ninth inning in game 7. I don't know how they're going to even do this thing. But, yeah, I'll be happy with it. Would I rather it the other way? Absolutely. But you take what, your point about LeBron is people are assuming, oh, we win championships all the time. We can afford to not have this one. What?
Right.
What?
News to me.
Let me take a break. We're going to come back one more time. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Your home is your most important investment, and your garage is the entrance to your home. It's where your kids come in from school. It's where your family and friends gather together. It's much more than just a garage. Now is the perfect time to add beauty and value to your home with an authentic Nature Stone garage floor. And every Nature Stone floor comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. For a limited time, get our exclusive gray brown blend stone for as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Tomorrow night, Bud Shaw will join us. Wednesday, it'll be the D-Man, Dennis Maniloff. Mary Kay Cabot will be here on Thursday. You see us live from 6 until 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and then you can archive it all day and all night, any day of the week, any day of the month, right here exclusively on cleveland.com. Anthony Lima is with us. Anthony, what can we expect if you get up in the morning? What can we expect with the show with you along with Ken Carman?
A couple things. The question I asked you about the Indians, because I'm curious, is this a fair season? I don't care where you are in a baseball city in this country. Is it fair for you to evaluate this season like it's a normal season? Meaning, should I crush a guy for having a bad year this year like we do, like we crush guys and say they weren't worth their contract? Are we allowed to do that this year? 5
years from now, people will forget this was I love this word, a truncated season. I think 5 years from now, you say, hey, this guy only hit 289. This guy only hit 14 homers.
And that's what I'm wondering. I wonder how fans are going to be where, we tend to go negative when a guy doesn't perform, and we want to know what's the deal. They got signed a contract. Where's the performance? And in this season, are you willing to cut a break for that player?
I don't think the average fan out there has any idea how tough it is to prepare for a baseball season or a baseball month and all that. And I think that if the players start putting too much pressure on themselves to put up the numbers they would have had it been a regular 3-month half of the year, I don't think the fans will understand what that's all about.
Well, wait till you see the injuries, Les, to your point, both in baseball and football and basketball. The injuries, I think we talk so much about who's going to get COVID. How about who's going to have hamstring injury? Who's going to blow out their knee?
All right, quickly, got about a minute for all these answers here. Will there be a baseball season that does start and end on their current time and goes 60 games? Will that exist?
I think they'll get through it, yes.
College football, what happens?
I don't like what I'm hearing, Les, and I don't want to be doom and gloom on this. I want college football desperately. I think we've seen the last game for Justin Fields at Ohio State.
You're probably right. Lawrence, too, for Clemson. All right, how about NBA? Do they get off without a hitch?
Well, unfortunately, they already have 2 players. They just had a press release for the show. 2 players tested positive in the bubble. That's concerning if that's happening while they're in the bubble. But
a significant player.
I think they'll get. Luckily, it's all, no, we don't know yet. But luckily, we're already in the playoffs. Essentially, it's going to be basically like 6 preseason games before they start this. I think the NBA will get through it.
NFL, did they get the full season here?
I think they're going to push it back. I really do. I don't know how far, but they're gonna at least try it. I think some of these weeks might look like replacement players because you're gonna have a whole offensive line room that could get knocked out because of exposure. But I think they're gonna do everything they can to make sure they get these games played.
Great point. Great job as always, Anthony. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll listen to you on 92.3 The Fan along with Ken Carman, and starting tomorrow.
Always a pleasure.
All right, Anthony. Thanks so much, Anthony Lima. That'll do it for us. We'll see you tomorrow night. Bud Shaw is here. Tomorrow, then Dennis Maniloff and Mary Kay Cabot. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.